What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, The Misplaced American. I am your host, Justin White. I have a very interesting guest this week, my good friend Malachi. He's living in the States right now. He is an author working on a comic book and part two of a book called Her. The information will be in the bio. He is a very, very creative individual. He's very big into comics. The very super big in the Marvel comic book universe. He loves DC. Anything, any questions you have about anything comic related, I can guarantee you, he probably knows the answer. Malachi definitely was one of the biggest inspirations for me when it comes to taking creative leaps. He convinced me to try to start writing books and tries to convince me all the time that I need to, work on short stories and poems and more. Very, very motivational, very inspirational man. If you ever get the chance, his information will be in my bio. Go check him out. If you can read his book, Her, it is so, so good. I can't tell you enough how just parts of this book you'll find yourself reading for like 2 hours and just almost be feel like you're almost done with the book because it's just one page after the other just flows so naturally. But I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Shout out to my Spotify listenership, my new YouTube listenership. Apparently, I have quite a few listeners on YouTube now, which is nice. And shout out to all the mothers and fathers who are stuck at home during the quarantine with children. This time is hard, so I just hope you guys stay up, stay positive, stay happy, and make good choices. And yeah, so just sit back and hope you enjoy the podcast. Uh, so, you want to introduce yourself for the people who do not know who you are?
Yes, so my name is Malachi Bailey. I am an author. I am a comic book writer, and I am just in general a storyteller. So, I'm happy to be here on Misplaced American, and yeah,
How
I'm here for it.
So I mean, I can see you, but other people can't. How old are
Thank
you
God.
now? How how old are you now? Because you look about 28, 29, but I know you to
Justin,
be
please just stop it, please. I'm actually going to be 37
Jesus.
in 3 months. So July 25th, I'll be 37.
What's the secret?
Um, Actually, is genetic. You know what they say, black don't crack. So yeah, there's that.
So, how are you, your family, your friends, everybody doing, and during this whole lockdown thing going on?
You know, I think we're doing okay. Um, I keep saying to myself and even to others, we've never had to live through something like this before.
Mhm.
And of course, they had Ebola and it was SARS or whatever, but it was never on this level
Mhm.
of this magnitude. And I think when we're confronted with something so major, at first we're in shock, and then there's that disbelief. But it's sadly, but it's becoming a new normal for us. Um, I mean, we're still getting through it day by day. Keeping ourselves busy and our minds occupied, and my heart goes out to the parents who are forced to you know, um, be with their children
Blessed enough to be
24/7.
home with their child all
Yeah,
day.
you know, um, my hat goes off to them. But I think, especially now during this whole coronavirus, pandemic, people are more appreciative of, cashiers, of healthcare workers, people
Delivery
who
people.
actually help you out. There's respect for them now. Should have been respect beforehand, but that's another story.
it's
But we're,
it's
we're doing okay.
it's funny you said earlier uh the new norm, and I was talking to my mother earlier, and she said someone asked her, oh, because they all have to work, because she works at a hospital, and they wear masks and they're all gloved up and everything every day. And I guess one of her coworkers stopped and asked her, and he was like, how would you feel if this was the new norm, like from now on every day you had to come to work and a mask was mandatory? And she told me she kind of got anxious thinking about it. She's like, I don't. She's like, I never thought about having to like, what if from this point on till the day I die, essentially, I have to come to work or get in my car or go to the grocery store with a mask on. And that's, excuse me, that's a scary thing to think about. Like, because like you said, in our lifetime, uh, we haven't encountered this. I think the last
Not at
major
all.
thing on this scale, I could be wrong. I'm not a historian. But I was reading like the Spanish flu. I think
Hmm.
1920s or something like that. Something.
That's 100 years ago when we
Yeah.
last had something this major.
So that's that's and it's scary because it kind of seems like I'm not in America. All I see is the post, and I try to
Hmm.
stay off Facebook a lot. And but all I see is
Good luck.
I see like the protest and groups of people just like
Oh, don't get me started on that.
no, let's open this can of worms while we're here, because
You know what?
because you're a very vocal person when it comes to how your opinions, how you feel,
Am
social
I?
media, social, and
What
you are
gave you
not
that impression?
yeah, you're not afraid to like hurt people's feelings. So I'm not maybe not so much ask your opinion, but I guess
Get my
what
my,
what do
my
you what
thoughts on this.
yeah what are your thoughts on people, I guess, uh,
You know,
taking the streets, thinking they're losing their rights because they're being asked to stay home.
you know, for them to want to go to the dentist to get their teeth cleaned, it's like you didn't care about that before, but now all of a sudden you want to go for your week, your appointment every 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
No, now you need to go to the hair salon and get your hair cut when the people who are protesting are wearing mullets anyway. But whatever. Um, I just think it's really it's about the privilege,
Okay.
and I think what was really profound about last week's protest, I think I saw a picture. It was in Denver, and this lady, she is like hanging out the passenger side,
Okay.
and she has a shirt on that says USA, and she's screaming because there's a man blocking, you know, um, traffic, and it's a nurse in full scrubs.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that photo. Okay.
I mean, if that doesn't sum up the whole coronavirus, pandemic, I don't know what will. And they're yelling at this man who is putting his life on the line. He's coming to work every day, probably not having any lunch breaks or what have you. He's, trying to tend to these people who are sick, who probably didn't want to protest, but anyway. And, he's outside protesting, well, silently protesting against the protesters. Like, why are you out? And then there were some signs that I saw that were pictured. It said, I want to go golf. I
Yeah, like the I guess
let me.
the typical like random things that most people do on a weekend, like a Saturday
Yeah,
with the boys. I'm gonna go drink at the bar or something like that. I've seen those pictures. Like, oh, I want a haircut. Like, oh, coronavirus isn't bigger than my bad hairdo or something along
but
those.
you have bad hair anyway, so it's like I don't see why it's so necessary now. And I just think that when it comes to this country, the people in power, those who are always catered to, who have this disposition over people who are less off, they're not used to being told no.
Ooh. Okay.
And so when you put that into the equation, like, listen, it's not because I don't want you to go shopping. I want you to have nice things. I want you to have a decent haircut that you're going to spend $30 at Supercuts. I want those things for you, but for your safety and for your family's safety, please stay home. If you need to order hair clippers from Walmart, go for it. You can do it.
It's funny because before this all started, I'm not. It may have been you that shared this. It was somewhere I read, and it was, or maybe it could have been on one of your posts, and it said the only reason when the virus first started spreading, and it was
Mhm.
like the only reason this virus is such a big deal is because it affects people with money,
Mm,
and
there's that.
so I remember I was like, because I was one of the people who didn't believe. I was like, oh, it's just a flu, you'll get over it, blah blah blah, this and
Hmm.
that, and then like I said, the next week everything turned, but it kind of seemed like from the UK standpoint, everyone
Mhm.
in the UK was like, oh, we're not as bad as Italy. We're not an old country. We have better healthcare, this and that. If you have the flu, you survive, this and that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was like, hey, we're gonna shut down. We're gonna shut down because, yeah, like people are, excuse me, they're like hospitals and like it was a like doctors are literally saying, stay home. Like we're
They were
begging you.
begging.
Like I've never seen like a mass amount of just doctors, nurses, anyone working in the healthcare field just telling people like stay home. Like if you have a cut, if you broke your arm, if you can just tape it up and hold it over your shoulder until this is over,
They
stay
get
home.
splint out of wood chair.
Yeah, and like, so that's what kind of got real for me because I looked around and I was like, because a lot of my friends work in the healthcare field, and
Mhm.
one of my friends, a good friend of mine, for him to be, I guess not maybe shocked, but just kind of like taken aback by how many people were just coming in, and
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't even with the symptoms. They just have anxiety of the symptoms. So
Yeah.
you freak out and it makes it worse, and it just so hospitals being. And I think what it was a lot of people think, oh, only 100,000 people get tested and 1,000 people have it, so it's not that big a deal. But you still have to test those 100,000 people, which means you're
Hmm.
overflooding hospitals with people who actually need the testing. So now it's like, oh, people are dying from the flu more, people are dying from this disease more. But you're also dealing with those people and the coronavirus people now. So now you're doubling up the workforce. Plus, you have to test for people for a disease that honestly most people don't even know how. Still to this moment, don't know how it works.
Hmm.
And then there's this fear of mutation and who like what happens if you recatch it. Some people say we're recatching it and they weren't showing no symptoms, so they were going around acting healthy around people who never had it before. So now these people are catching it. So
It's it's very sobering, and I did see on the news because that's all you see now. This
yeah,
constant coverage on it,
and I hate
and
having to come up with a podcast and constantly talk about it, but
no, it's
yeah,
but
it is
it
the
needs
yeah
to be discussed. It's not a comfortable topic, but it's one that it brings light to the situation. It's very serious. People are still kind of looking at it nonchalantly. It's like, but why? Why would you want to take that risk? And now they're saying that it's possible we're going to get a second wave just in time for the holidays because you're going to have to deal with the flu. And I'm like, 2020 is it's over. It's just it's canceled. It's just get ready to stay indoors and make it a blockbuster night. But the blockbuster night, in theory. Um, but you have to keep yourself positive and you got to keep yourself motivated, and that means you have to engage yourself. Okay, so read read a book, try to look for things that are going to keep your spirits in a lifted and elevated place.
yeah,
But
that's
I don't know.
something people are struggling with. I just recently overcome that struggle myself. Was feeling
Mhm.
like I needed to be productive instead of being, or I have to like with my creativity had to be productive. Like my creativity couldn't just be something I wanted to enjoy. So whereas
But it can be a mix though. You
it
don't have
can,
to. That's the issue that I have with how people look at millennials. It's like, okay, if they're not doing anything, they're not being productive. It's like, but we're allowed to have downtime. We're allowed
right?
just to, spend an hour or two on the couch watching Netflix or Hulu or whatever streaming platform that you prefer. I don't know what you like to watch.
Yeah.
So, that's okay. And if I want to write a novel in 30 days, that's my right too. So they need to lay off pretty much. And especially now when people who are dealing with family who has it, there are people that I know who actually have the virus, who have relatives who passed from it within the last 2 weeks. You know, this is the thing that's affecting us on a deep, profound level, and we need to take it seriously. But we also need to know and need to practice living through this, not just surviving. We have to thrive through this situation.
I think this definitely forces people to live day by day. Like people always say, "Oh, live day by day," and this actually, well, in the UK at least, I can't speak for America.
Mhm.
In the UK,
Mhm.
we're literally just every night at 5 p.m. they give a briefing about what's
Hmm.
the death tolls, the
Same
amount.
here.
Yeah, and so we're literally living day by day,
Hmm.
figuring out. And they just recently extended it for 3 weeks, so we have 2 more weeks to find out if we're gonna extend it again. Which I don't like speaking here or there about it, but I personally think
Yeah.
we're gonna be in this thing until like October. But do I want to be? No, I'm the biggest extrovert on earth. I will go to a bar and just make friends with
Oh, I
everybody.
know this is killing you.
So
Yes.
so for me to have to sit in the house and see my neighbors, the same neighbors who I've honestly never talked to before. I've actually talked to my
Uh,
neighbors walking by my house while I'm
I
working
don't.
out, doing exercise. So this is a good segue into. So I've known Malachi for a very, very long time. I used to work at a
Yeah.
bar in North Carolina in Raleigh called Woody's at City Market, and
Yeah.
him. I'm not. It was you, one girl, and your cousin.
Hmm.
The cousin I was in love with. And I was trying to flirt with her and trying to just talk to her. Who else were you with?
It was her girlfriend at the time.
Oh, oh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was barking up the wrong tree, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. You were
Oh,
totally on the wrong tree.
oh well, that's
That's
unfortunate.
right.
If you're listening, I'm so sorry. But but yeah, and I don't even remember how we even connected. You just making jokes the entire time. I think I was just the only black person working. But
No, cause I remember that day perfectly, and I'll
ooh.
tell you my point of view when you're done. So.
Oh, no, I just remember yeah, we just basically how we met was I was trying to flirt with your cousin and it didn't work
Hmm.
out. And somehow you kept making jokes and making us laugh. And I don't know, somehow you just like we were talking on my Facebook or something. I was saying MySpace, Jesus Christ, Facebook, and we just kind of just kept being friends and just never really disconnected because you always were funny.
I find that amazing too because I had just moved to Raleigh, and I moved to Raleigh March of 2011, and my cousin Zenaida, she wanted to get me, familiar with the surroundings. So we would go downtown, and there was a comic book store that I would go to. I think it was called Foundation's Edge on Hillborough Street. I
Okay,
want to
yeah, yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. It's because it was where
So,
college kids hung out.
hmm and I remember parking was always crappy. So, um, she was doing her best, to get me acclimated, and I loved her for it because it was a hard adjustment for me, moving from New York to Raleigh. So, so it was, so on this particular day that we met you, she and I and her lady friend, we went to remember that sex store, Adam and Eve.
Oh, I
So we
remember.
were in there acting,
I
right?
remember this part of the story.
So we were like, "Ooh, what's going on in here?" So we went to the store, and we were looking at all the little stuff they had for sale.
Oh my
And
god.
on the way out, we noticed they had like penis lollipops or whatever. So of course we bought some. And then we decided to grab some lunch. So we went downtown. We went to Woody's, and I remember, we were seated, and we had that lollipop on the table, and because I think you forgot about it, and then you came to our table. You're like, "Hey, my name is Justin. Welcome to Woody's." Oh, there's there's a penis lollipop. I mean, so we got quiet, and he's like, "Oh, so no one's gonna bring it up? Okay." Anyway, so here's the menu, and then we all
Sounds
started
like
laughing.
me.
He was like, "Oh, okay." And like you said, we just clicked. We had such a great time, and to the point where we actually exchanged like phone numbers because again, I was still getting used to the area,
Yeah.
and you had just this amazing energy that hasn't changed whatsoever, and that was what 9 years ago at this
Yeah,
point.
because I think I joined the military in 2011. So I was working in
Hmm.
what is maybe 2010. That was around 20 because it had to be March 2010. Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
when we went to go back to see you, they told us you had just left, to
Joined the military.
for the army, and we had missed you by 20 minutes. As I was
Yeah,
like,
because
fuck.
I literally got a call that night. Because I was supposed to work that night, and my
Mhm.
recruiter called me. He was like, "Hey, can you leave tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, sure."
It was really sudden.
Yeah, no, it was literally an overnight call. He was like, "Can you leave tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah, let me just call mom and pack my apartment up, and let me go call my job and tell them I quit."
Like, let me just pack up my entire life, which you
Yeah,
did.
but yeah, no, yeah, I couldn't. Oh my gosh, I living in Raleigh was moving to Raleigh was probably the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
It I've met so many cool people. It opened my eyes to a whole new world of just like even just as far as interracial relationships.
Hmm.
Like growing up in Eastern North Carolina in the sticks.
Hmm.
If you were black guy with a white girl, it was you were getting looked at. Whereas when I moved to Raleigh, I saw like these interracial couples walking around on a college campus, like Wake Forest campus, walking around.
Hmm.
I was like, "Well," I saw my first Asian couple, like real Asian group of Asian people. I think I've seen in my life maybe before that like two Asian people, and I
How
remember
small was your town?
very small. So you've been to Greenville, North Carolina before, right?
I've I think I've been to Wilmington.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah.
I
So
went there.
my town's like basically I graduated with the same people I was in daycare with, essentially. Like,
Okay.
yeah, like it's super tiny. Like I think
Mhm.
maybe 100 people in my graduating class.
Oh, that's tiny. Yeah.
So yeah, like
Culture shock for you when you left.
so yeah, Raleigh was like the best thing ever. Like I said, and I met you, and then like and you're the like probably the most interesting one of the more interesting friends I have.
Because I
Definitely.
don't have a filter. That's why.
If anyone ever decides to befriend you on Facebook, just be
Just
warned.
know. Yeah, just to
He's
know.
not afraid to delete you, and he's also not afraid to hurt your feelings and tell you they make fun of you for hurting your feelings. So if
What that's not wrong. That's not wrong.
you so we were me and you were talking off mic previously. You were saying
Hmm.
how uh as a previous story of mine, like I kind of grew up bullied, or not really bullied, but just kind of different, not really an outcast, but just not the stereotypical, I guess, growing up in a black household, going to church in a black family, and then I guess standing out or sticking out from that, like from family and friends or people in your culture community, because like you weren't like everyone else around you.
Yeah, I could totally relate to it. That's why I told you I preferred that episode the most because it was probably to me the most real, the most brutally honest one because it spoke to the core of your person, of your being, and and maybe that's also why we clicked like we did because because we were both outsiders, and we both had this unhealthy love for comic books, and even because if you look at it, it was a way for us to escape, growing up, and like I was also bullied a lot, and even by people who were friends, by the time we got to middle school, like a switch had was flipped, and all of a sudden, the locker room became like a hellhole. But for me, I found comfort and escapism, being able to open up a book and just be mentally transported to that world. And then, you don't really, at least in my case, I didn't really picture myself as a character in that setting. I was just like the spectator who was just drinking in the sights, kind of like, Charlie from, Willy Wonka. He's in there and surrounded by, all this splendor. And, that was a gateway for me to get into my writing because you have these characters who could control the elements and
Right.
who have these optic blasts and who could telekinetically lift up trucks and toss it at the enemies. That really amped you up. Like even before we started chatting today, You know, I was watching like the old school Iron Man and Fantastic Four cartoons from the
Mhm.
'90s, and they were terrible. But yeah, I'm still watching them. And
They are so bad.
oh, it's so bad. Like I hate how they did Scarlet Witch, but that's a tangent we're not going to get into. Um, but so what I did, I started watching the last like 30 minutes of Avengers Endgame, and today makes it a year since I've actually went to see the movie for the first time, and like still getting that hype feeling of when Captain America picks up Thor's hammer, and
Oh.
all the
Did you see
heroes
the movie in
come.
theaters?
Yeah.
Oh God, dude, like so I'm assuming everyone in there was like, like,
Oh, actually, no. I kind of wish I was in the theater like that. Mine was mine was more like subdued. I was the one doing the screaming. I was the only one, and you know how dramatic I can be. So I'm like ripping at my chest, and I'm stomping, almost about to knock over like a tub of popcorn, but I was that kid because that was something I always wanted. When I would watch the cartoons and read the comic books, and after all those years of finally waiting, we got that on the screen. So it just appealed to a time when I needed to have that escape. And now that I'm in a position where I could write those same stories and create my own characters, I'm always going to have a deep love for that genre, for that particular medium.
I would say that's probably one of the another like big reason we kind of stayed like in touch for so many years.
Hmm.
You've always like on Facebook shared like comic book stories, and it's
Oh
stuff
yeah.
I've always been like a casual fan. I've always kind of glanced over and knew bits and pieces, and then like
Hmm.
you would share a story, and I'm like, oh, well, what's that? And so I asked you, and you you wouldn't only you wouldn't only tell me what it was. You messaged me on the side a complete paragraph of what it was, then send me a link for where I could read this comic. and, but yeah, I've always appreciated that because I've always seen you like share pictures and share posts. And then I remember you became the guy who like when memes became a really big thing. You were the meme
Oh
guy.
my God, I love me some memes.
You were the guy
I
who
love.
always shared like the funny memes. And I remember there was a period on what's Facebook. He said MySpace, Jesus, Facebook, where like I remember like I was like, oh, I haven't seen a meme from Malachi in a while. So I'm scrolling. I'm like, what's going on? Like, did he unfriend me? Did he delete me? So I remember messaging you,
Never.
and I was like, did you delete me? He's like, no, I was taking a break from taking a break. I need a mental break. I was like, all right. So months go by. Facebook is dry. No one's posted anything
That dry book.
controversial. And then what do you know? Malachi comes back, posting posting something about some Thrusy.
Oh my God, not the Rusty.
but yeah, no. Yeah, you just always wanted you were always that one person who like I was like it's so weird how like friendship works because you're that one person who I've never really honestly I think we've honestly maybe met face to face like twice.
Yeah.
And
Twice.
but every time I talk to you, every time I like we've actually talked or like hung like or we did hang out 2 times, it's always been just like I knew you. Like
Yep.
like genuinely like my best friend, like you met my wife and
Yeah.
and uh and you signed my book that you wrote. So
Or
when
the first version of it.
yeah.
Wait, I still got to send you the other one, the re-release with the
Oh, with the new
Edward
cover.
Matt. Yeah, we got to do that.
This would be a great segue to talk about her. So you mentioned earlier that you were an author, and so
Yes,
did you want to bless the people with that?
I'd be so honored to bless the people. So, 5 years ago, believe it or not, I wrote a book called Her. And again, this kind of goes back to what I said about, my love for superheroes and, that particular, form of entertainment. I really wanted to do my own contribution. And honestly, I wanted to see more Black heroes. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Captain America and his blue eyes and blonde hair and that amazing jawline. Love Captain America. I love Batman. I love those characters. They're great. Spider-Man. But we didn't have enough Storms or enough Bishops or enough, who else? Who's another Black hero? Oh, Black Panther, of course. You know, um, it seems like the cooler ones are in Marvel, but Marvel is better than DC. Yes, I said it. Um, we didn't have enough representation. So I decided that I was going to do my own thing. So I created this character named, she's only known as her. And she is an immortal African woman who is rumored to be the first woman, like Lucy, who was found in the Great Rift Valley. And with each reincarnation, she has a different face, a different set of powers, and she's supposed to teach the people as she moves on through life. And when the book starts off, you know, she's reincarnated as she's drowning, but she has lost the memory of who she is, which is important because her power is linked to that. So when she's saved by this man named Cyrus, who has his own secrets, you know, he is trying to help her piece together, you know, who she is, you know, and why do these people want to kill her, especially an ancient evil that's tracking her. So pretty much the book is a story about self-identity. It's about a redemption. It's about rebirth, and it's about how the mistakes of your youth could follow you into adulthood. So, you know, I really enjoyed writing the book to the point where I wrote like a couple chapters per day, and I would get in the zone. You know, I would have my coffee next to me. I would blast some music, and I would write easily until like the early hours of the morning. And for that book, I finished it in 2 months, and then I released it in June of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't crazy about, you know, what we agreed on with the cover, and you know, the editing job was horrendous. But after much contemplation, I decided to take it off the shelves because I wanted to do it my way. I wanted to present it in a way that was worthy of the story. And I did. It took me 2 years to do it, but I released the book in October of last year. And, you know, now I'm actually working on, you know, a comic book series that's going to have her in a legit superhero costume. You already seen
Oh
the
man.
images. So I'm excited. You know, this is going to be it's going to be a great year regardless of what's going on
Right.
with this fucking virus. You know, excuse my Italian. Um, I'm determined to get it done. I stop that for that.
I love you.
I love it too, but I'm just saying, like, you know, I have so much that I want to do. I actually wrote the sequel earlier this year, so I need to get that properly edited, and then I got to get the book cover artist for that, and then I have the Her comic book series coming out later this year. So, you know, this really there's no time to rest. I can rest when I'm dead.
Man, I told you when you first actually I first got the book because I'm all, you know, I'm all about supporting my friends, especially.
Yes, you are, and I thank you.
I'm all about supporting anything my friends that do that's creative, and so I got the book, and at the time I wasn't really much of a. I've read books. I wasn't really much of a book reader. Like I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't say I avidly would sit down and just, oh, time for I got off work, maybe sit down and read a book. You know, something I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing. So when you said you wrote a book and I'm going to buy it, so all right, I bought it and I started reading it. And I remember like reading it, I was like, wow, this is really descriptive. Like I can like that's like I'm in the water with this lady just like drowning, or like I'm in the library. I'm in this library right now, looking around at like this observatory. Like I feel like I was in this, and I don't want to spoil it, but this is one part of the book where it's just talking about like her past,
You
and
love that part.
that one part, man, I'm telling you, you got if anyone listening to this, you have to read this book. It's called Her. I will put the link in my bio.
Yep, it's on Amazon.
It is, once you read this part, you'll know. Like this, I wish you would just make a prequel just off this part of the book, like alone.
You know what? You're not the only one to say that to me. I've had people approach me to do spinoff series on their supporting characters as well. And, you know, I intend to do it all. I want to do it all. I want, you know, when I die, I want to die empty because I want to be able to get everything out as I'm living now.
Ooh, that's
But that's my truth, Justin. You know, that's what I need to do. That's my calling. Um, my
okay.
mom, she would always say to me when I was growing up, because I used to always write, I would do little stories here and there, and she would drop whatever she was doing. She could have been, cleaning, or she could be on the phone with someone. She would hang up on them, and I would say, like, "Mommy, I have a new chapter that I'm working on," and I would read it to her, and she would say, "Malachi, when you have your first book signing, I'm gonna be the first person in line." She said, "I want an autograph," and I was like, "Mommy, whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna be an author. I'm not gonna be a writer," but she spoke that into existence. So unfortunately, she passed before I could do that. But
Right.
that always stayed with me, because she always, said, "Malachi, this is you. I mean, this is your call, and this is what you have to do on this earth." So I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, what other way to honor your mother than to do something that she knew that you could do? Like
Yeah,
at this point, you not succeeding or not doing you not maybe not just you not putting it out is almost disrespectful. Like
it
you're
is.
yeah, because you have all the tools, you know what you have to do. I remember, is it Mother One?
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yep.
and I remember you saying like I couldn't find like someone to do this for me the way I wanted to do it, so I created Mother One, and I was like,
Yes, because I originally was going to have it published through, like, it was a small, publishing boutique, company, whatever. And I mean, they fought me on a cover. They're like, "No, just go with this one." And it was the original book cover. And I'm like, "It's okay, but can we do something else?" Because, there's other, services you could use, as I told you about. And I was not feeling it. So what I actually did for the book cover you see now, that was supposed to be the original book cover anyway. Because one of my dear friends, she illustrated that for me.
yeah. To be fair, I do like this. I do like
Yeah.
that one. I do like that one a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, the book cover now with the blue and her in the
Yeah,
water, that is, it
it's a better
starts off the
representation.
story.
Yeah, it's a better representation of than just a close up of a face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
don't get me started with, with that book cover.
but no, no, no. But like I said, you're definitely one of the bigger inspirations. Like I said, between you and my other friend, Richard, who's an actor, my previous podcast, you two, like alone, like got me motivated to start doing things. Like between you constantly posting writing prompts, and and
Hmm.
you
Yes.
you should write, and I always just write something to be funny, and and I'm thinking like, oh, this is gonna be crappy, but I'm something anyway.
Now, I have to cut you off for a second. And this is to your listeners. Justin is an amazing writer.
Oh.
And he's blushing now, because black people can blush, actually. Um, like whenever he would participate in the prompts, he's a word painter, so it transported you to the world that he was building. And that's why I'm beyond ecstatic that you're doing the podcast, because I knew you could do this, and you're doing it, and you're doing it weekly, and this is almost easy for you
I will say
because you're in your element.
that is the hard part, is doing it weekly and then realizing like sometimes I put a podcast out and maybe like 10 listeners, and then I put one out and it's like 50. And I'm like, well, what am I doing wrong? What am I not doing consistently? And I got discouraged recently because like so I saw one episode and it was like maybe like 12 listeners. And I was like, but the one before that was like 50. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, what am I not like? What are people just bored with me? Is my voice annoying? And everyone just saying, just keep going. Like, no one starts off perfect. Like, no one starts off
That's true.
like everyone starts off with one follower. Everyone starts off with one subscriber. Just keep doing it. One day you'll, excuse me, do something that like clicks, and then just kind of, and that becomes your new norm.
But
And
not for
it's
nothing, Justin. And you got to take ownership. You're not on Facebook like that.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
you don't you don't promote like you should on Facebook like that.
yeah. My friends argue with me, yell at me a lot because
Mm.
they're like, you should promote yourself a lot more. And I'm like, yeah, but it's just really hard to be on Facebook. But
And that's true, though, because I know this is there's always this surplus of information, and it's a mixed bag, because it's good and it's bad, and it's just it's hard to silence it. But you have a product, you have an actual show that's worthy of many followers. Each episode is engaging. And of course, you're going to have episodes that's going to appeal more to certain people,
Right.
because of different topics. You know, um, and I have to get behind what your other friends and supporters are saying. Keep doing this. I enjoy listening to these on a weekly basis. Do it for me. Do it for me.
I'm definitely. Like I said, it's not something I'm going to quit. Like I'm not that kind of person who likes to quit. I think whenever I hurt my hand at the from work, and I was doing a powerlifting meet. It was supposed to be this April. I remember I was almost in tears because I hadn't missed like 2-3 months of training, and I was just so mad because the only thing I ever quit before in my life was I think that to a bodybuilding competition I was going to do in Guam, and I was like 4 or 5 weeks out from doing it, and I'll never forget this. I said, I'm hungry, and I just stopped. I just stopped. I was like, I want to eat. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to eat.
What did you eat though?
Huh?
What did you eat?
Oh, they have this like little red rice in Guam, and the chicken on a stick, and then they got like this
chicken on a stick.
And then this curry house called Oishi Curry House. If you're stationed in Guam, you're listening to this, and you have not had Oishi Curry House in Tumon, stop what you're doing immediately and call her up and go get you the chicken katsu curry or the stewed chicken curry. This is probably
that's not good.
Oh God, to this day I have not ever had a curry. Everyone says cocoa curry is good. No, I've never had a curry that good before in my life, other than in Guam. But yeah, and I love food, and granted, it's because I hate to eat. So whenever I can eat out and like enjoy it, it's a big thing for me. I remember, so I quit bodybuilding competition, and I remember going to competition and watching and seeing people on stage, and I was like, I told my friend, I remember sitting next to my friend Nicole, and my friend Carly, I think was there. And I looked and I was like, what the. I look better than this at 4 weeks out. Like I could have won this. I could have won this. And I thought, I was like, man, I really shouldn't have quit. And so like, I'm really big on like not quitting. So yeah, with this podcast, I mean, even if I get just one listener every week, I would do it for that one listener. Maybe one day that one listener becomes a famous author or a famous movie star, and then like they take me with them. Maybe this opens up a new window for me. I was talking to someone, and they were like, you'd be really good on radio. And like you seem to go really well with talking to people, making topics and flowing to the next topics. And why not? You should probably do a radio show. And I was like, that's kind of cool.
You should consider it.
My friend Richard, he's the one that got me into the idea of producing. So I really want to, try to produce movies and stuff. And I have my personal ideas for movies and short films. So, and I've talked to you about those. So, yeah, I have a lot of creativity ideas. So this definitely, even if this doesn't work out, I definitely feel like this definitely opened a lot of windows for me for creativity. So because before I was on the ledge of my creativity. I was like, I want to do this, but I never actually took the
I remember.
And then I just remember talking to both of you at the same time, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I just took a leap, and I spent this money on all this podcast equipment, and now I'm here doing it. So
it's been what, about 2 months now?
Maybe, if even that, yeah.
This is amazing. I mean, but then you have to always remember, you have to speak life into your life.
Can you stop making T-shirts here?
You know what? And that's what I need to do. I need to start doing her T-shirts because I want to do the keychains and the mugs and, the mouse pads. It's going to happen. Got to speak life over it.
So you've left North Carolina now, yeah?
Yeah, I've been going now for 2009, little like 2.5 years now. I want to say.
You're in DC?
Yeah, so I'm actually about 20 to 30 minutes from DC.
Have you found it a lot easier to find like-minded creative people in DC rather than? No, really?
No, and I'll tell you, and I'll give you the perfect example because I actually told you about it before. Me being a huge blurred, and for people who don't know what that means, a blurred is a black nerd. I was getting into the whole D&D thing, remember? And
oh yeah,
I bought books. Remember that?
Yeah, all books and stuff. We did it around the same time.
I spent a small fortune on like the what is it, the guide, the manuals, and
Mm-hmm.
I had the little figurines. But I had like maybe one or two people who were interested in doing it. But it was just different because I know that if I was still in Raleigh, because I was in Raleigh for 6 years, so I
Right.
actually had a life there, and I had more connections. I wasn't just going to work type shit.
Right.
And I know would have definitely been more successful there. But here it was just like I got the books. I needed like maybe one or two more books, and they're still in my closet, like untouched. Probably not even glanced at in the last, I don't know, year or so. But um, in that regard, yes, it's been difficult. But in a sense, for me to connect when it comes to getting my book out there and finding fellow Black authors, and that's been easier because I went to BlurredCon last year.
Right.
And for those who don't know what that is, BlurredCon is pretty much a Comic Con for Black or other people of color, creatives to go there to purchase indie books, items like that. And when I tell you, when I went last year, and we had the overwhelming sense of camaraderie and fellowship, it's amazing. And and I made some connections there. So
See, not
it's
not not not
easier.
to, not to cut you off too much on that one,
Mhm.
but I do want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit before it gets too late in the podcast. We have to end it off.
Mhm.
Uh, because you are really big on supporting like Black creativity, Black
I try.
artists, uh, just anything. I mean, like I said, you're unapologetically forever pro Black. Is what I like to
Yeah.
say.
Europe.
So, uh, I will say a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I have seen a lot of like pushback, I guess, on it. Maybe not on your post, but just in posts in general, of people say, post like, oh, here's all these Black doctors, let's salute Black doctors. And on the complete opposite side of that, there will be a non-Black person commenting, what about all the white doctors that are doing just as good?
What about them? The post was meant for Black authors, Black doctors, Black entrepreneurs. Can we at least have that one thing for us? No,
So,
we're not discounting the contributions from other people, and that but we're not doing that. Let me acknowledge us. And oh, don't get me started. Um, the Black community by itself is already overlooked, and we've had our contributions stolen from us for centuries now, and they take what we make and they try to make it theirs and they try to sell it as theirs. So if there's ever um, a discussion or a thread or an event that is highlighting Black authors, Black doctors and scientists and all these wonderful people, can we at least keep it on task, keep it on track, keep it in house?
I try to always like I said, since I've grown up, become into my adulthood, I've I've become more aware of, I guess, the impact my words, my younger words as a younger me, had on, like I said, myself and my community. Like I definitely
Yeah.
wasn't very pro Black, I guess, growing up, and
Mhm.
it was just my immaturity and not understanding my like what was going on. For me trying to
Mhm.
fit into a role that I shouldn't have tried to fit into, but
We've all been there.
but as an adult, I will say I've seen a lot of pushback from myself when it comes to, like, for instance, Juneteenth. I post whenever that
Mhm.
comes around. I will all day. So any feed you have is gonna be you're gonna see me posting about
Mhm.
Juneteenth, uh, or me posting about like Black History Month. And I remember getting a question. It wasn't an inappropriate question. It was a genuine friend of mine, and he says, "Well, he's like, so why do you think?" He's like, "I feel like you won't take me the wrong way. I'm just genuinely curious about your opinion." He was like, "What do
Mhm.
you think? About Black History Month?" And I gave him a typical black
It's too short.
why black people feel like we enjoy Black History Month and we need it. He's like, but don't you think it should just be regular history month or just regular history? And I was and my in the simple response was for me, excuse me, simple response for me was, well, when the rest of your race, he's a white guy, like when the rest of your race uh loses their history through bondage and slavery, then you can isolate 1 month for yourself. I was like, but as of now, you guys own the other 11. So what is
Yeah.
so what's the 1 month for us?
And you should have told him that, his history is also Black history, because the computer that he was typing on, the internet, was discovered by a Black man in the 80s. GPS, a Black woman created that. So the direction that he needs to go to his, from point A to point B, let him know that a Black woman made that possible for him.
And so and so it kind of just it speaks a lot to, I guess, how unaware people are, or I guess how their words or how their actions can affect people, or how their actions can affect communities. I know a lot of people say like, oh, well, Black on Black crime, and it's like, well, why are we just being isolated to Black on Black crime? What about Mexican on Mexican crime? What about white on white crime? Why is it only
don't single us out for that.
Why is the only single race crime you want to speak about is Black on Black crime? Like, I've never heard the term white on white crime. And I'm not trying to race bait in this conversation here. It's just more so, you're just one person who's always been very outspoken about your support of the Black community, and I've always appreciated it because it's like that. Like, so it was a Wale song I tried to share with you once, and he was like, in the beginning of the song was like, imagine that a Black man start beginning to love himself, and I just remember thinking back, and I remember thinking back to like when I finally appreciated the fact that it's like, oh, I'm a dark skinned guy, like I'm Black, and I love it, and it's just and I remember for so long not wanting to be Black. I honestly feeling like I didn't want to be Black because like we didn't have anything. I kept every time I went to a Black church, you hear the term crabs in a barrel. Black people are never gonna make it because we always pull each other back down. And then as I got older, I realized, I've heard it from someone else. It was like, well, think about it. Crabs don't belong in the barrel. Who gave us the barrel?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and because you always hear the term crabs in the barrel, crabs in the barrel. Black people love using, older Black people love using that term.
Yes, they do.
They're just crabs in the barrel. We'll pull each other back down. No one can make it out. But who put you in the barrel to start with?
Very true.
And so and so stuff like that. And so like growing up with a certain mindset was like black people aren't going to make it. Know your role. You have to do this point A to point B, go to college, get a university, get a degree, be a doctor, be a computer analyst, be a MIT person, and that's the only way you're going to make it. So it's like, where was the space for young Black writers? Where was the space for young Black movie producers? And so
we have to carve it out.
And people, so a lot of people don't. Whatever, like it was really hard for me to, like, for instance, tell my dad. He's like, oh, I didn't. He's like, I don't get the whole hype behind Black Panther movie. And again,
he said, what?
I'm probably hurt your feelings here. To be real, I went back and rewatched a couple times. It's really hard for me to sit through it again. It's really
Justin, it was nice talking to you.
It's like it has good moments. But I'm like, man, this movie it's rough. But I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's definitely not one of my favorite. But anyways, he's like, I appreciate the hype behind it. He's like, I don't get the hype behind it. And for me to explain to him, I was like, well, it's probably this was created by a guy who the director, everyone in the movie was probably at one point told, you shouldn't be doing this. This is a white man sport. You're not gonna make it in this. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody had a role in this movie, had their hand in this movie. At one point in time, we're told, because you're Black, this isn't gonna work. In so many words. So I always appreciate when I see Black people do creative things other than dribbling about. There's nothing wrong with dribbling a basketball. There's nothing wrong with playing football. There's nothing wrong with playing sports. There's nothing wrong with anything. If you aspire to be a male stripper, hey, go have at it. But whenever I see like my African American friends or Black friends writing a book or doing a podcast or making movies, doing comics, drawing. I'm like, man, like, go for it, do it. I was like, I'm so sick. I was so sick of being told growing up, only way you're gonna make it is if you go to college, go to university, finish, get your degree. And that's totally not true. Like, you don't have to.
It really isn't, though.
So I will say, like I said, but long story short, I appreciate you and your open mind, your very open speaking to your support of the Black community, because
I try.
you definitely, like, so one of the people who inspired me to do uh this podcast and anything, mostly anything else creative, especially my writings. So thank you.
I'm glad because, and this is not, you know, discrediting the contributions made by, non-Black people. We're thankful for it, but you guys are, by default, you're already congratulated on it. You're already recognized for what you do, but when it comes to, to the Black community, to the Black, creators, it's easily
Tell Charles to sit down.
overlooked. Huh?
Tell Charles to sit down.
I know. I know. But a quote that comes to mind that I think is very very fitting, is from Willy Wonka. One that came out back in the early '70s. He told what was her name? Veruca Salt. Remember, she was licking the walls, and
Yeah.
he grabbed her chin, and he said, "We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of the dreams." And I've always loved that line because that does apply to creative individuals. And that applies to me and it applies to you.
So as we wrap this up, if you could give, I guess, one bit of advice to all the creators, all the people who are thinking about starting writing, all the future Jordan Peeles, all the people who have like the want or the desire and the capacity to do something, but just don't have that drive or that or fearing that one step. What advice would you give them as somebody who's actually a pretty well established author, new soon to be comic book, like a star comic book author? What advice would you give that future creator?
I mean, it's going to sound like a cliche, but I'm going to say it anyway. Continue to do you. Make sure that you listen to the inner voice that gave birth to your vision. Don't be burping on me. And I mean, this is your truth that needs to be shared. And for every person who says, no, you can't do it, know that that's coming from a place of jealousy and resentment. For their own reasons, they don't want you to succeed because you may even surpass them. So keep that in mind. Also, keep at it. You're going to have good and you're going to have bad days, and you're going to have days when you don't feel like writing or building or what have you. And for those days that you don't feel like doing it, okay, you can give yourself that day to relax or whatever, but don't let that go on for too long. We all have a purpose, when we're born into this existence, and you need to honor it, you need to share it, and you need to keep pushing for the next generation and so forth.
Well, you have probably, this is probably been a really, really, really interesting podcast.
Yeah, we knew that though.
I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me out of your busy schedule. I know you have, like I said, you're spending the majority of time creating now. I hope I'm not sure if you guys are in lockdown still, but
we are.
If it's ending soon, I hope you.
It's been extended to June 10th.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that afterwards.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Well, please stay sane, stay safe,
Yes.
make good choices.
Yes.
I love you.
Love you too.
And yeah, man, be blessed.
You too. I'll talk to you soon. And thanks for having me.